Hey guys, welcome to the new series, which is editing sessions on podcasts. Okay, now today we have a guest with us, a seasoned gamer, a techie, a podcaster of within 12 walls, Balakrishnan. Welcome, welcome,
Oh,
welcome.
well, thanks for having me as a guest for your very first episode. But yeah, nice to be here.
Today we are gonna talk about some things called RTX, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. So to start it off, what is RTX?
Hmm. So RTX, simple layman terms, everything depends on ray tracing, which has everything to do with lighting. So for a normal person listening to this to understand, not getting very technical, just look at a spot in your room, which is hoping you're not just sitting in darkness and listening to it. So if you are, just turn on the lights and look at a random point in your room. And from there, just draw a line out of your eye towards that spot. From there, just follow the angle to where the light source is. This is you tracing the light ray, which is ray tracing, which is what RTX claims to do. It adds this photorealism to images, videos, or games. And it's been in works for over 10 years at this point. The first announcement was somewhere in 2018. It's supposed to be holy grail of computer graphics, which is supposed to be like something which we've never seen before. It's really coming at this point. And long story short, when games are being made, the designers put fake light sources so that you get shadows and lights. What RTX does is you select the light source and you don't have to program anything. The engine automatically figures out what is in the way, where the shadow has to be, how dark it has to be. So it's basically renders everything in real time as you're going through it.
Yep, and uh, mainly why is RTX used and where it's used usually?
Okay, so the old technology, let's get to the older one, or the current one which we're using for most part. It's called rasterization. So basically what it does is, say I'm a designer, I am making mountains. I'll make the mountains with triangles and basically all these polygonal structures which basically have a lot of lines, which shows the depth and the height. So something can be above zero and below zero. Above zero means it'll block the light, below zero it'll fall, the will fall on that thing. It's basically like how geographical maps work. So what rasterization does is it converts the 3D image into a 2D image and guesses and estimates the lighting. So it just guesses which has to be, which, where the shade should be, where the light should be, and that gives you an effect of 3D. So that is how basically it works. But then the advantage with RTX is it needs 3D. It can't run on 2D. It takes 3D, puts the object in front of the light, and figures out where the shadow has to be. So it just does a way better job by a way greater margin and makes everything look way better.
And when we talk about games for some minute, like there are only few games supporting RTX technology, the like around 20 to 25 maybe, like CSGO, and many of games like that are supporting RTX. So when we come to Dolby Vision, what are your points?
Oh, actually, going back to the supported games,
Okay,
like
okay.
if really anybody wants to go through this and you are a gamer, I think the best ones which I would pick, which I've tried personally, would be Metro's the Exodus, the latest one in the Metro series. It's a very weird kind of game. It's basically like a first person shooter, and it fuses an open world horror effect with it. So you have weathers that change, you have day and night cycles. The graphics basically will melt your hardware down. It's that great, and it needs that level of processing power, just because it runs with RTX. So it has something called global lighting. So you have the sun, and everything is run by RTX real time. So as you're playing, the game creates the shadows. It's not pre-coded into the game. So
Yep.
that is one of the best one. The other one is Battlefield 5, where the lens flare is beautiful. The ray trace reflections are so good that, like, say there's a fire and you have a car next to it, the fire literally reflects on the metal of the car and on the glass of the car, and both of them look different. because they are different materials. So that's really something which shows the height of RTX at a stage when it's where it's barely developed, and it's not even out there yet. But that's something which is amazing. So going back to what you asked, Dolby Vision. Um, Dolby Vision. I mean, it's theoretical, don't you think? Because we don't really
Yep.
have any hardwares which are able to process it for most part. They have such a huge spectrum of colors, 68 billion plus, which is like 68 times HDR. So that's just something which we can't really comprehend because we haven't really seen anything, and there aren't really many hardwares, as far as my knowledge goes, which can really do justice to it and portray what it is supposed to be.
Yep. And coming to how many devices support Dolby Vision, currently only like when we come to mobiles, we have only the a new flagship phones only with Dolby Vision compatible, and there are some TVs, that's all. Not all TVs support Dolby Vision. Only some TVs. What's your opinion?
See, but then again, the thing to be considered here is you don't really know if it is Dolby Vision. They are they claim to be Dolby Vision. See, like you will know the difference if you have a HDR TV. You watch a 4K video on your HDR TV, and you watch a 4K video on your, say, a decent phone, a decent laptop, not too old, not too new. You can see the difference even though it is 4K. Like, just search a random YouTube video, you can see it on your laptop, which I'd say somewhere around 2 3 years old, and like your HDR TV. You will see the difference. Both of them claim to be able to show HDR, but they can't. Since we haven't really seen the extent of Dolby Vision, I don't really think we can tell that they are definitely Dolby Vision. Sure, they might do something, but I don't really think they do everything.
Yep, that's the most prominent concern, and making sure that actually in the world there is only a single monitor system which can support up to 10,000 nits brightness, which is the highest brightness peak in the
Yeah,
which
and you
human eye
really
can.
need really high brightness peak for the Dolby Vision to work. That's something I forgot,
Yep.
which most devices are not able to give out.
Yep, and it's available in like I don't know, but it was shown in some tech show, claiming that it's 10,000 nits. We don't know really is it 10,000 or not, but many media forms says that it's 10,000. So not into that. And Dolby Vision has a wide spectrum, matching your what we can see the world. It is like a real world replica, so it can go from 0.0001 nits to whopping 10,000 nits brightness on a single screen. So that is HDR
Okay.
power technology, and HDR is
Mhm.
between maybe 3 nits to like 300 nits or 600 nits maximum, that much. We were telling about Dolby Vision TVs. Can games be really played on Dolby Vision TVs?
I mean, yeah, we can. I mean, if you end of the day, it's a display system. So you hook your Xbox in, PS4 in, or your PC, like the CPU in. You just have to substitute it with the monitor. Even you can go as far as, say, if you're fortunate enough and you have enough money, you can rent out a theater if it's possible, and hook your PC up or hook your Xbox up and start gaming it. It really doesn't matter. It's just another display system. As long as you have the right equipment, you
Ye-
definitely can.
Yep, the right
Oh, although the
equipment
theater thing,
means.
that would
Yeah.
be fun to do.
There is a new hype about Dolby Atmos in games. So, what is the power of Dolby Atmos with combination with Dolby Vision?
Dolby Atmos is something amazing. It's really not as far fetched as Dolby Vision, to be honest, because Atmos is it's basically audio, like it's almost like a 3D audio, because The audio doesn't have to be necessarily on the left side or the right side. It can be in front of you, above you. So that's it. Just manipulates where the sound comes from. They claim to put you in the middle of the action, and their YouTube video does a pretty good job portraying it, which I like. You can check that out. It's around 3 minutes. Atmos is a more out there technology, but again, implementation. It's copyrighted technology by Dolby. That's the reason it's Dolby Atmos. It really depends on if they are ready to license it out to game developing companies, and even if they do, will they adopt it? It depends very much on the industry. You
Yep.
can't really guess about it. Although Dolby Vision might be something that's coming up, because um, if Dolby Vision comes out with amazing display systems, the other competing companies will also come up with similar better display systems. So end of the day, you will end up getting Vision somehow or the other. Sure, there's a long time for it, but Atmos, I am not very sure about it.
And actually, I want to add a point here. Many people will say that, yeah, I have Dolby Atmos on my laptop, computer, PC. Why do I need that speaker setup and all, like 7.1.4, something like that?
Yeah, that again. Uh, you know, we can just go back to what I said earlier about watching the 4K on your HDR TV and this thing. Sure, it is 4K, it runs 4K. But again, it's not just the software aspect of it, it's the hardware aspect of it also. Is your hardware able to do justice to the system? Is it able to portray it to 100%? That is what matters. If it is, then yes, you do have it. If it is not, then you don't have it. That's basically how it is. um, just because, like, I can like find a 10-year-old first generation touchscreen phone and I can install the latest version of Android on it, most likely. But will the hardware support it? Most likely not. That is how that's kind of the argument against it. It really does not make sense. Your hardware and software needs to support each other. If one doesn't, then you're not getting 100% out of it. You don't get that experience.
Yep. And when we come to the powerful technologies of AVR, which is Atmos, Vision, and RTX, how do you feel if we combine these three technologies together?
The three of them together will be mind blowing and hardware melting. Um, if you can afford to buy NASA systems, then you probably will be able to run all three at the same time, as of now, at the very least. Um, you will need a beast to run any one of those. Like RTX alone demands so much power out of your laptop. Like RTX Minecraft runs at 5 FPS per second, which is on my laptop, which is absolutely horrible. And Exodus, like it doesn't even start up. Metro Exodus. I had to go play it at my friend's house who has a beast. Although mine isn't a great gaming like setup, it's average. So all three of them together, long way out, different companies, different technologies. Are they compatible? Maybe. I mean, Atmos can be compatible with RTX, definitely. But is Dolby Vision compatible with RTX? Questionable, because nobody has tried it yet. It might be, it might not be. And it's again different companies. Will they have a merger? Depends. If they're gonna, if they can make money on their own, if the merger benefits them, then they will. If not, they won't. So it's I mean, all three together, amazing. But will it happen? Most likely not. Even if it happens, it's going to take quite a long time for all of it, because like Vision and sorry, yeah, Dolby Vision and RTX both are like really popping up right now.
Yep. And actually, I want to point out one thing. Actually, some people from California did a test with Dolby Vision and RTX. They used a 4 Quadro RTX card with Dolby Vision RMU, which is rendering and mastering unit, which they got some results, but not the perfect results. So it takes a lot of power consumption as well as graphic card melting consumptions, and you should have a actually you should have a better CPU also in consideration of Dolby Vision.
Exactly. You need insane computing power. And it's really to be that level of computing power is something we haven't really seen at all. Like, you don't really see, I mean, okay, maybe not consider very simple people. If you can set the standards of high level of graphics which you can see, I think we can fix the tab at gamers who are also streamers, who are gaming and streaming at the same time. That itself needs quite a bit of computing power and internet
Yep.
speed. So if we set the tab to it, we haven't seen, like, what you're telling is nowhere close to this. So that's why it's going to take a lot of time to come to, even if it comes, which we are not sure about. And that level of thing is also something which a lot of people cannot really afford until it's a research and you're getting funded, or you have to be insanely rich to dish out that amount of money. um, it'll surely be in double digit in lakhs, if my guess is right. It could be more, I'm not sure about it. So are you willing to put that money down right now in a technology that's not stable, that's not consistent, that's not really proven that much? um, Personally, even if I could afford it, I wouldn't do it. So let it get some time. It'll come down there. There's a lot of optimization also that needs to go into it, which is going to take a considerable amount of time again.
Yep, it's gonna take considered time. And when we come in place of cinemas, how is Dolby Vision useful in cinemas as well as Dolby Atmos in cinemas? We hear about Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos in when releasing of cinemas or any of the posters. Dolby Atmos is actually famous than Dolby Vision.
I mean, Dolby Atmos is more famous, more popular because it's more of a proven technology. I'm not sure how long it's been in works for, but it's just out there where um, it's a proven technology. Again, it works. That's why it's more popular. It's more widely used. Dolby Vision, I don't have much idea about it, but there aren't many. As we spoke earlier, we don't have that amount of hardware capability to run it, so it's not proven. So as somebody who's in a business to make money, I am not going to risk it with a developing technology. That's the reason Atmos is more out there. And again, comparing them is not really a great thing, provided yes, same company, that argument could be there, but one is totally about audio and one is totally about video, so it's not really in the same realm. That's my opinion.
So we'll come over to any updates on AVR technology. Some companies are releasing their new graphic lineups this year. So will there be any update on this AVR technology, Atmos, Vision, and RTX?
Atmos might have it. RTX, yes. There are a lot more games lined up for 2020, which are coming out with RTX. But then again, most of the titles are delayed indefinitely due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which is a bummer. So somewhere by the mid of next year, we'd probably see double the amount of titles supporting RTX. Dolby Vision, I'm not very sure because I don't follow it that much. Dolby Atmos, um, it might get improvements, but I don't really know that much about it.
Okay. We know we have just scrolled off what is the complexity of combining these three technologies. Just a last point, will it really come soon?
I mean, the whole point of this thing was figuring it out how hard it is for something to come very soon. So, I mean, if I had to guess an ETA, I would tell 10 more years at least to get a well optimized one, maybe about 15 years to see it quite commonly, because it is very intense. And I'm not sure how many of you would know about the Crisis incident. So Crisis is a game which came out in 2005 to 7 somewhere. I think it's 2006. I'm not very sure about it, but somewhere over there. um, at that point, Crisis was the game which, like, did not run on multiple CPUs just because of how much computing power it needed. It was way ahead of its time. The graphics were amazing, mind blowing. I mean, you see it today, it wouldn't be, but back then, you compare it with the other ones, you like lost your mind. It was the best anything I'd ever seen. And that's where really the industry like moved forward. There was like a generational jump in the computing power of our systems. So this is really something which is happening again by RTX, provided it's in a different form. It's not a game, but it's a similar incident. You need better computing power. So what's going to happen is there are companies which are going to try to capitalize on this. They'll find ways to run it, and they'll find ways to make it cheaper, because if they make it cheaper, somebody's going to buy it. If somebody buys it, they make money, because that's how they make, I mean, like, that's their profit. That's why companies are there. So we will have another huge generational jump in our computing systems, in how much they can handle, how much they can run, how far you can push it, and all of it. So yes, we will be seeing it, but not very soon. And my opinion, there will be a jump, as I said before.
Yep. And it will be a very great jump in the future. And when we come to cinemas and all, personally, I want to make a personal point here. Actually, Dolby Visions are being used rarely. And if you go on dolby.com, and if you see the studios which are mastering in Dolby Vision, in Asia, there are some of the uh, like the sub companies which are working, studios which are working for Dolby Vision. In India, I could only find one studios which is in Mumbai, and Dolby Atmos is like, it's like very famous as pointed. And Dolby Atmos, you can it's almost available everywhere, and you can find a nearby studio in your city maybe. Many cities have in India, many cities have Dolby Vision studios. So it's Dolby Atmos studios.
They claim to have Dolby Atmos. Yeah, Dolby Atmos. Okay, I
Yeah,
thought you were talking about Vision. So yeah, but yes, they do have Dolby Atmos.
yep. And TX is for consumers as well as professionals, right?
Yes. I mean, end of the day, everything is for consumers. Uh, you just need the professionals to work using that engine. I mean, if you've seen any Disney movies, I'm not sure which all, but like one thing which I know for a fact had RTX systems is Monsters University, the second one, but that's supposed to be before the first one, before Monsters Inc. So
Hmm?
they had RTX computed lighting. So it took a lot of time for them to render. I am not sure how long it was, but it was absurdly long. It was a very old article which I read, but it was absurdly long time to render a 1.5 hour or 2 hour movie. But yeah, so again, that's computing systems. But and they had spent quite a bit of money on their rendering servers and systems. So they had multiple systems hooked up to a server, which acted like a single system because they needed that much power out of it to render this. So it is really energy consuming. um, it's pretty hard. But
Yep.
again, it's for the consumer. End of the day, the consumers watch the movie.
Yep.
So that's where it boils down to.
Yep.
End of the day, Within 12 Volts is my podcast. If you want to listen to more of me, you can just search Within 12 Volts on Spotify, and yeah, that's where it'll be. We have around 5 episodes up, maybe 6 by the time this goes live. Yeah, we'll see.
And thank you for joining with us. Hope next episode will be more like this. I hope in the future we'll be having more episodes like this. So stay tuned,
Oh
guys.
yeah, collaboration once in a while is not bad.
So stay tuned, guys, and meet you in the next episode. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Do check out Within 12 Walls podcast. The link is in the description. as well as in the About episode. Check him out.